Golair, and welcome to the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast, slicing into the GAA of the past, present and future. Join me, Jason Keelan, as we cut into the largest loaf of bread known to mankind. On Slice 7 this week, I have the chats with two legends of Meath GAA, Simonstown Gaels Sean Tobin and Longwood star Mickey Burke, better known as the Honeybadger. We chat everything from Mickey's two nicknames, Colm O'Rourke, going to watch Meath under the legendary Sean Boylan, that fight in the square in Croker in 1996 against Mayo, winning the U16 Gerry Reilly Cup, crashing mopeds in Thailand, mickeyburke.ie, and of course I couldn't not mention Westmeath vs Meath 2015, even if it does mean ignoring decades of Westmeath defeats against Meath. But first, let's take our usual short trip through the lads' homelands and GAA clubs. Bon Sultas. We don't have to travel too far today from our last stop in Westmeath. We crossed the county line into neighbouring Meath and the borders of the old Irish Pale region. Less than 20 minutes from Pamela Greville's Raharney GAA is the village of Longwood. Now that we are in the Royal County, it's only fair to mention the royalty other than Harry and Meghan for a change. The Kingdom of Meath was the home of the High Kings of Ireland many centuries ago around the Hill of Tara. Men such as Brian Boru, Donlu Loughlin and Rory O'Conquebur were considered among the actual High Kings, as opposed to many legendary figures. The Hill of Tara would also be the meeting for one of the great gatherings known as Monster Meetings, during the time of the Liberator Daniel O'Connell in 1843, when more than 500,000 people showed their support for his push for Catholic freedom and the Irish language in Ireland. Today, Rathcairn and County Meath, along with the Waterford Gaeltacht Ring, provide the only two Gaeltacht regions in the country outside the west of Ireland. Longwood is a village in West County Meath with an expanding population in recent decades. Historically, the area is known as Moydervey, and the land given to the Plunkett family by King James I. When the Tyrrells of Westmeath took over the lands, their daughter Catherine married Robert Edgeworth, a man more remembered in the ownership of Edgeworthstown, County Longford, but who in fact had an extensive land ownership in the Longwood area. Longwood GAA began in 1904 and has survived and prospered ever since. The club began, like many, from a meeting in a local premises, this one belonging to Anne Flynn and her son Michael. Michael would become the first chairman of Longwood GAA, with Reverend Father James Bray the president. Tom Conway was the secretary, a teacher himself, one of thousands involved in the foundation of many of Ireland's GAA clubs, going back as far as GAA co-founder Michael Cusack in 1884. Despite being in the football circles, within a year they had rebranded for the small ball code and took on Warrenstown in 1905 in the Meath Senior Hurling Championship. In 1936 the GAA world watched as Limerick great Mick Mackey lifted the Lee McCarthy in Croke Park for the county's 5th title. But in Longwood the celebrations were for the club's first ever hurling title at senior level. Wins over Dunderry, the Old Erin's Isle and Dunboyne, sandwiched between a draw and Trim, left them needing to beat Kilmessan, which they did. This was no mean feat considering Kilmessan won the title in 33 and 34 and would win it again in 37 and 38. It remains Longwood's only hurling title at senior level to date. In 1942, the club's footballers won the Intermediate Football Championship in Meath for the first time against Carlanstown, better known today as St Michael's, in a replay in Navan. Tough decades followed, but the club rejuvenated itself with the acquisition of their own grounds and facilities. Today their facilities are very impressive and they went above and beyond to showcase the new gym with a video which went viral online at the time, starring none other than, you guessed it, Mickey Burke. In 2018 the club reached the high point of their modern era in football with a win over Ballinlough in the Intermediate Football Championship to secure a place at Meath's top table. As a result, the club, which had long been a fixture in Junior B, was now competing at senior level in hurling and football for the first time in living memory. For the season, the footballers were in amongst the senior teams. One of them was Simonstown Gaels. In 1965, Simonstown Gaels was formed in the town of Navan, County Meath. The town itself is still well renowned for furniture design, as well as being the home of Meath GAA and Parthalton, and such iconic figures as Hector.
People that watching everywhere around the country, I'm now going to describe the genitals instead of like testicles and penis. I will describe them with osgrailga. So bhí an lad ag an seo, bhí an bot ag an seo. Agus bhí an líróidí, so Richard Grimer the líróidí. Right?
Tommy Tiernan.
And then you'd look out the window And you see the boys from B1 and B2 out there, the wind blowing through their hair, happy smiles on their faces, the decapitated body of their teacher thrown across a car. And where would they be? On the shade, on the shade, on the shade. Because thick fuckers love shades.
Father Ted co-creator Arthur Matthews.
This is my fuppin' spot. Get the fuck off.
007 number 5 Pierce Brosnan. And the man who invented the weather scale, Francis Beaufort. Their website tells the amazing story of how young Navan man Joe Clark and Trim man turned Navan resident Jimmy Lane met in the hope of forming a new GAA club which would eventually be a mixture of locals and old O'Mahony players. The first playing pitch? Goalposts in Joe's mother's backyard and the dressing room in the shed. The first game was against nearby Commons before former man Mickey Clark arrived back in the area from Dublin with a set of jerseys from Elvery's. These were bought for the sum of £19, 19 shillings. In 1977 the club acquired what locals know as Reggie's Field as their home, and this has continued since. Today they have everything from the clubhouse to the all-weather to the creche. And to go with that, their first senior titles in 2016 and 17. The journey through the latter included a great 12-7 win over their nearest rivals in the Navan El Clasico against O'Mahony's. Although they still have a long way to go to rival the 20 titles of O'Mahony's at the other end of the town, with the likes of stalwarts such as Sean Tobin and with Colm O'Rourke at the helm, the club hopes to continue the bright future. The county's historical significance in the shaping of Ireland is too vast to discuss in one short piece here, and to do so would be an injustice to Meath. From the efforts of the likes of Longwood rebel Thomas Allen in 1916 and the likes of Eamon Duggan in 1921 during the Anglo-Irish Treaty, the county has produced some iconic figures. Equally, the Meath story in sporting terms is extensive, from the likes of jockey Barry Geraghty up to rugby legend Shane Horgan and beyond. But up there is the Meath teams under the great Dunboyne man Sean Boylan. Sean was there from 1983 to 2005, and his record speaks for itself. 8 Leinster titles, 3 leagues and 4 All-Irelands. The county's legacy of household names at the time, such as Trevor Giles, Darren Fay, Evan Kelly, John McDermott, Colm Coyle, to name a few, shows how much of a force Meath were in the day. In more recent times, Meath have, like everybody, succumbed to the might of the Dubs in Leinster and have relied on the qualifiers. The last remaining link to the Sean Boylan era is in fact the great Mickey Burke. From his debut in 2004, Mickey still maintains the fitness and determination that he has had since he started playing club senior hurling age 15. In 2013, Sean Tobin made his debut for the senior team, and after an incredible 71 appearances and a total of 670 kicked, Sean announced his retirement from the county in January. But life continues for both men in the football stakes at club level, while Mickey continues hurling for the county also. So let's meet the two Meath legends, Simonstown Gaels' Sean Tobin and Longwood's Mickey Honeybadger Burke. I like the hat. Are you a golfer as well?
Oh, I am a golfer, yeah. And also, see, I'm half bald on the top.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought that was fine, but I'm gonna, because I haven't got a haircut, it's gone like a bit on the sides.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. What are you playing off for?
Myself, I play off 14 actually at the moment. I used to be off single figures when I was young, but I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, I'm off 17 still, so although it's probably about 27 I'd say at this stage now, I haven't played in that long. So,
Where do you play?
well, I was a member here in Mullingar for years, and then I was living up in Dublin for the last 10, 12 years, and I was playing different courses. I wasn't a member. Castleknock was near me, so was Westmeath. We used to run into Sean Boylan an awful lot in Westmeath actually in the gym out there, which is lovely. And then
Right.
my mate plays in Kilcock, so I tend to play there a fair bit. So nice course out there as well. So
Oh yeah, serious, yeah.
yeah,
I'd be there and Headford there and Kells.
oh yeah,
Lovely spot.
yeah.
So,
I played there once before. Yeah,
I'm actually starting to build a gym in my house. I'm late to the scene. I think everyone did it at the start of lockdown.
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I just started to do it there. So just the way things are going, I just said, yeah, look, we might not be back for a while again. So started there.
Yeah.
What made you think of doing the podcast, Jason? Was it always on your mind? Or?
Yeah, I suppose the last few years I've thought about doing it. I'm big into the history as well. I've a couple of history books written for primary school that are coming out in next September.
Well
yeah, it was it wasn't something I planned on doing. I hadn't planned on writing books. It was the rep from the book company in our place, a big Galway man, big into his hurling, and sure he'd wander into the classroom and he'd be chatting away to me about hurling and football, and he saw the scratch map I had on the wall from traveling, and he was like, "You've been to like 100 and something countries." I was like, "He's like, have any interest in writing a book on it?" And I was like, "Not particularly on travel, no." I was like, would you write a history book?" I was like, "Yeah, I love history. Like, it's mad into history, mad into sport, music, like, yeah." And ended up a couple of days later up with the head fella of the company, and 2 years later, then they're coming out for 5th and 6th classes now, and this soon enough, and they'll be ready for the next school year. So, and it's mostly that, and the traveling as well. You kind of like picking up bits and pieces as you go along, and I planned on doing something. The history in the family is interesting enough. My uncle does it, but I love the GA and I just love sport. Like, so, all the GA podcasts are great. Like, I listen to all of them, but nothing against them. But they all have an agenda. They all want like the headline, the controversy. They all want to talk about, one podcast talks about changing the system, the next podcast talks about changing the system. And I'm just like, I'd love to chat. When you go around Ireland and even go around the world, like you meet people out in GA clubs around the world, and they want to chat about the great days they had, their memories, the crack, the wins, the losses, going out in the beer, that kind of thing. They just want to talk, the crack. And I was like, well, maybe there's a way I could get that across without having to go into, the politics and all that kind of stuff. Like, not that I'm not interested in it. It's just, I feel like every person who gets brought onto a podcast has been brought on for a headline. And I just love to bring on people and just have the crack. And David O'Shaughnessy was the first who came on because the title of the podcast comes from the Paddy O'Shea speech to the Westmeath boys in 2004. David was captain at the time, and David's brother is married to my cousin. Like, there's a lot of random GA links in my family. A lot of them play GA as well. And I just asked David, his text was like, any chance you want to come on? Like, plan was to do half history episodes, half chat kind of episodes. So I did the first one on Paddy, and got a good reaction on it. Yeah, so then I chatted to David, and it kind of took off from there. So within about 10 days, there's 700 and odd people on Instagram following it. It's got a few hundred listens online. I've been approached by a couple of people who I wasn't expecting. And then I kind of want to mix it up a bit, and as I said to the boys from Up Art, and I brought them on, chatting about their intermediate win, I was like, I'm not looking for the back page. And the lads were like, oh, we'll give you the front page, it's grand. Just something handy. So Mickey Burke is mad late, so he has to do the 10 laps after by the looks of it. So
and I don't know if you know his nickname within
Honeybadger.
Yeah, no, but it's also Buzzer.
Buzzer, okay.
Buzzer, yeah. So I call him Buzzer, like when we're in a big team together, everyone calls him Buzzer.
Is there any reason for that?
I actually don't even know. Very good question. I don't even know what.
I'll ask him and see if he knows. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's Buzzer and the Honeybadger. Oh, he's gas man.
I believe he is. Yeah. What's all like in Simonstown these days?
We've Colm O'Rourke back, which is serious for us. We won 2 Keegans.
That's right.
Colm, and he's a great setup with him. Seamus Kenny's involved, and the backroom team that were there before, Johnny Mills, Kieran Kenny, and then we've a football coach coming along called Pork Farrells. So it's
positive, yeah.
Like nobody can give out, Now we've been all right. Like, I'm not saying we've been poor the last couple of years, and they've been good setups and great management teams, but I suppose, I don't know, it just when you win too, it's hard. It just gets harder and harder. Everyone's gunning for you. I don't know what it is, but it's hard to keep having that drive every year. You probably think you're good enough to get by, but you're not. You just have to work hard every year, hard year after year.
I know you weren't playing in 2015 against Westmeath, but I have to ask Mickey about it here when he comes in. So, but yeah, I was in the fancy seats that day. I got a decent ticket, and Colm was actually just behind me. And I think when Paddy O'Rourke or someone, I think he got sent off.
I actually was on the pitch. I came on.
Were you on? You came on that stage, had you?
I came on with 10 minutes to go. I was actually asked to go on goals when Paddy.
Stop.
I swear to God, I was on.
How are you, Mickey?
Hello, lads.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's hilarious.
How are you keeping?
Not too bad. We're just chatting here, Mickey, about. I said, look, I'm not going to I'm not going to spend the whole time talking about 2015 and what Westmeath did, but I have to mention it at the start because it'd be rude of me not to. Sean was just saying
you wouldn't be a Westmeath man if you didn't.
I wouldn't, I suppose. I was just saying we were chatting about Colm being back at Simonstown, and I was saying I've met him a good few times, but said my one interaction, I suppose, with him was I was sitting in the nice seats for 2015 for the Westmeath match, and when Paddy got sent off, myself and my brother had been abused by a group of Dunshaughlin fans in front of us, so we didn't know the whole way through the game at half time, like it was over, and they were like, "Oh, you can go home now," that kind of thing. But when Paddy O'Rourke got sent off, I had lost a head at this stage, and I roared. I don't know why I roared, and I turned around and I was about to give it the big dat to the Meath fans, and who was sitting right behind me. Only himself. Colm was sitting literally in the seat behind me. So
that happens. That happens.
I got a bit of a look off him. I'd say he didn't say it to me. I just got a bit of a look, and I just turned around and sat down. And I think that was the end of it. So Look, thanks very much to you for coming on. As I was saying to Sean there, Mickey, it's fairly chilled and relaxed. I'm not looking for back pages of any headline. I'm just here to chat the wins, the losses, the crack. I had to start, I suppose, with asking I have two nicknames to ask you now, apparently, thanks to Sean. Honeybadger and Buzzer. Where did the two of them come from?
Buzzer. Where did Buzzer come from?
Sean hasn't a clue, so...
Yeah, I think it might be from Jamie Queenie, actually, maybe. In 2010 or 11, he started putting ZZER onto the end of lads' names, I think. Like he used to call, that's how Jazzer, we used to call him Jazzer, like Jazzer Queenie. I was Buzzer. He used to call Chris O'Connor. Chris O'Connor's nickname was Juicy, but he started calling him Juzzer. It was just stupid stuff that goes on. So I think that's how. I think Jamie Queenie's the man for that, and all the Meath boys still call me that, Buzzer. It's the first thing they call me, like. So yeah, I've been called worse things than Buzzer, in fairness.
Yeah, I think we all have at some stage. Where did the Honeybadger one come from? Is that Nick Cummins himself out in Australia, or?
Yeah, well, there is an animal. There is a real animal, the Honeybadger, and it fights snakes and eats spiders, and it's only a small little yolk, but it's a little rat of a thing. So, I kind of came from that probably same mentality that I was small in stature, but I was, a bit of a nuisance, and I'd take anything on. So that was kind of where that idea came from behind.
Yeah, I was going to say it's hardly yourself and Vinny Byrne going around Longwood fighting snakes now, is it?
Oh, myself and Vin, yeah. You know Vinny?
Oh, I do. Myself and Vinny were in college together, yeah. He texted me the other night when he heard you were coming on. So.
Yeah, Vinny's one of my best mates. I was actually meant to call down to him for a coffee tonight, but so we had to reschedule, but I haven't seen him in a while. Vinny's got a couple of kids now, and Louise's wife is obviously a brilliant camogie player, so Vinny and myself are really, really close. His mother owned the post office in Longwood, and my mother and father owned the pub, so we were right across the road from each other as school kids, and he's a gent.
He is, in fairness to him. I can only say good things about him. So, Sean, yourself, who were your influences growing up in the GAA, locally or otherwise?
I suppose growing up, it would have been probably from my own club, the likes of Evan Kelly, Hank Traynor, Seamus Kenny. Shane O'Rourke would have been only a couple of years ahead of me, but they definitely would have been boys that I looked up to growing up. They would have been always travelling to Meath, and they never would have really been at train with us or anything like that. But when I went in first, I suppose Seamus Kenny, he took me under his wing. And probably through him, then I got to know Mickey Burke and all his boys. And they were great to me, in fairness.
Yeah.
We had great crack together. And when I went in first, it was a completely different Meath team to what it is now, I don't know, I think there's only one or two left, Mickey, is there? Probably is, Tobs, yeah. Like Kyogi probably was knocking around, was he? Yeah, Mento and maybe McGill, that's three, maybe like that, 3 or 4. That's it. That's about it. Like in the space of 8 years, so it's
big turnover in a county team. Isn't
mad how quickly it turns over. Yeah, but no, the Simonstown lads, I would have looked up to the Simonstown lads very much. So Evan Kelly would have been a great one for me. I have a good story about Evan. I actually told Mickey this before. My first adult game for Simonstown, I was playing corner forward, and Evan Kelly was the other side. So It was a junior game. It's the only junior game I played. It called me up to senior after that. But Evan came over to me and he goes, "Look, Sean, I never talked to him before in my life. Evan Kelly coming over." I was like, "Jesus, what is this fella going to say?" You know, kind of starstruck. And he was like, "Look, Sean, you just get that ball, right? Don't mind the rest of the boys. Don't mind all these other wickets. You just turn it and you get onto that left foot and you goes wide. Fuck it." That's what he said. And that was just it. And I was like, right, Simon Evan went in and had a great game in the end, you know. But I thought he was going to come over and say all these technical things, but it was just fine. Just turn on that left foot, go for it. If it goes wide, what about it? Go again.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's class. Yeah, great story. Yeah. Mickey, what about you? Was who were your main men growing up?
I loved the one Tubbs. That's class from Evan Kelly, but I loved the one that Hank Trainer as well. Hank was kind of just always at you. He was just annoying you, like, and he'd never wear gloves. It's not the one Tubbs, and he was like, "I love pulling and dragging out of you. I'm going to follow you here." Oh. And you're just like, "Hank, will you go away?" I remember you telling me that story before. You nuisance.
Never wear gloves. It could be -10 January and rain, hail, snow. Doesn't wear gloves, and he'd be marking you, he'd be touching you like, "I don't care. I'm gonna kill you." You know, he'd just be like, "You're soft. You're soft." Do you know? Yeah. You know, you won't beat me. I don't care. I'm 35, but you won't beat me. It's like, it's Tuesday night of training in January. Just leave me alone. Do you know what I mean? Hated marking him. Hated him.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah, I was going to, because one of the questions there is about toughest people you've come up against. So maybe if you might have answered that one already by the sounds of it.
Oh, yeah, probably definitely, yeah.
And what would be, I suppose, for either of you, who would be the toughest team you've come up against, that you club or county, that you can remember? I know there's probably tons of them for the two of you, but is there any standout one or two that you can think of over your time?
I'd say I would probably agree. And look, it's probably definitely, well, for me, it'd be the Dubs anyway. Just, it's probably a no-brainer. Well, for me, Mickey would played a lot longer than me, but
I know I'm the same as Tobin.
Yeah, definitely would have been the Dubs. Just look, it's hard. Like, as much as we're saying, like, we're trying to catch them and we're trying to get there, and I believe, but look, last year's performance, I don't think it's a true reflection of Meath football. I do think there is standards and processes in place within the county that we're starting to get there, but they're just very good, very, very good. Yeah, they're as a team, as a unit, tactics. They're very tough to play against. Very, very tough.
So good, so good at everything, like, you know. And I think Tobes and myself would be fairly honest about, like, we're not these kind of two lads saying, you know, "Oh, Dublin," you know, like, you have to be honest. And they're so good, they're so athletic. Their bench is unbelievable. They've more irons on their bench and caps on their bench than some teams have starters, like, you know. So it's just. But I do think that every empire will fall, and although it might take a little bit of time, I'm not saying it's going to happen this year at all, but it will end at some stage. But it's not looking like any time soon. But I'd say Dublin definitely since 2011 are the standout team.
Yeah. And what about at club level? What would the two of you have any standout club games or teams that you come up against?
Well, I've been playing at a lower level than Tobes, like, you know. Simonstown are always senior, so I only had the experience once of playing senior when we won the intermediate in 2018. So the 2019 season for me, I would have always liked to have played Summerhill because Summerhill are down the road from me, and they're probably 10 miles down the road, and they were always the closest senior football team to me. So club level, Summerhill. But I had a couple of good battles against St. Mocta's in the Leinster Club Championship, a team from Loud Village. We happened to play them twice or two or three times actually. And locally, Balnabrackie would be very, very tough. They're they're right down beside road, and they're our neighbours. So
I know plenty of people there as well. Yeah,
yeah. The Bracks love their football, and they always produce inter-county players. They always produce one or two here and there.
Yeah.
So the Bracks are tough nuts to crack.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. What about you, Sean? Simonstown then?
Well, look, Simonstown, you go up and in the other town teams or Matneys, and they're your biggest rivals, and unfortunately these are the most dominant club team ever in Meath. The 20 championships, they've always produced county footballers, and look, they're probably going through a transition period now, but when I grew up they just thumped us every time. I know Keegan's, but geez, it was 10 points, 15 points. They had some fantastic footballers: Stephen Bray, Cormac McGuinness, David Bray, They just littered with class, for years, and they were very, very tough to play against. And I suppose when we got a good run with the Leinsters, the first year we won the championship, or the second year we played Lomans actually in the semi-final. We were 8 or 9 points up. Actually, they came back and ended up beating us by 2. But they were a very tough team, very, 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 very good team.
You don't have to praise them now because they're from Mullingar. I'm not alone. They're literally they're about 30 seconds away from me here, and they're not actually my club at all. Funnily enough, so.
Yeah, I know.
Are you Shamrocks?
No, I used to play for very unsuccessfully, but I tugged out for the Downs for many years.
Downs. Okay, very good.
I was no good, but I loved the crack, so that was all I went for really. So yeah,
that's all that matters, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, it's just going to say it's weird. It's a strange game, that one, because I booked Thailand, Vietnam, the January. So I never thought we'd go win the championship, get to a Leinster semi. I'm sure I was gone in Vietnam. And I flew back for the game. It was like 20 hours back. I came back for 2 days and flew back.
Stop.
But I couldn't walk. I don't know why to start. Walk in the game. I had a desperate game, but I was jet lagged, and the game was a day later. But look, I was never not going to come back for the chance of maybe getting to the Leinster final with your club. But no, it was a gasp.
Jesus.
Were they bet in the Leinster final that year by not Sarsfield, from Kildare?
Moorfield.
Yeah.
In a mental final, they were about 6 points ahead with a minute to go.
I think they were 8
or 5 points.
They were 8 ahead at one stage, and then gave away a terrible free at some stage. And the referee, I remember, brought it forward, and then it dropped short, I think, and they got the winning score out of the rebound or something. Yeah, that was outrageous. It was
a crazy final. Yeah.
It was absolutely insane. Yeah. What did you make of, randomly, Sean? What did you make of Vietnam when you were out there?
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah,
brilliant.
some spot. Yeah.
I've done a bit of traveling around Asia. I've done Thailand. I've done Vietnam, Singapore, Kuala Lumpur. Serious.
Lovely spots, yeah.
Out there, but serious crack.
You're not a great man on a moped though in Thailand.
No,
I was told.
No, I crashed the moped, unfortunately. I'm still convinced that was a death trap. To be honest with you, I'm convinced. Scam.
Well, it looked funny. It looked funny, if nothing else. So
I'll send a clip of that on to you, Jason. You can put it up on the story on Loaf Red.
Brad Deadly, yeah.
I wouldn't mind. I was asking for a Kawasaki before, and luckily didn't give it to me.
Yeah, I couldn't pass it by without mentioning it as well. I have to ask Mickey, as earlier mentioned, you only had the 1 year in the senior, and Sean as well. How did you let Ratho win the senior? Because myself and Vinnie Byrne both went. We were in the same class as Kieran O'Farrick, who captained Ratho. I don't think I'd ever text him again because I'd only have to hear about it. What was how did you let Ratho win? What were you thinking?
Oh, jeez. Well, I'm not the man to ask about that. Anyway, Tobes did no more. We played them in our first game, and sure, it was like I love my club, and I'm unbelievably proud Longwood man, but we were just out of our depth that day completely, and they were a machine. Now a bit similar to Dublin, it's until you get over that initial winning post that, if I thought they were really, really, no one ever knew if they were going to win it or not, but they eventually got over the line, and now they've won 2. So they were way too powerful for us. Tobes would know a lot more about them. He'd be playing them more regularly, but they have a huge pick, and they're getting their act together. They're going to be hard to handle now for another few years. Oh yeah, they're serious, full of pace, and even at that, they're missing Brian Power and Bobby O'Brien, and still won championships. Like Brian Power over in America, he was a county starter. Bobby O'Brien was in county panels, and I would argue that Bobby O'Brien was one of the most influential players. But I suppose sometimes when lads leave like that, it gives a chance for other guys to step up, but it just shows the pick that they have. They bet there last year by a point or 2. We had them on the ropes, but we were about 6 points up at half time. They come back and bet us in the end, but there's plenty of pace, plenty of young lads. And sure, when the Wallaces can come on and net a goal late on, sure, it's top class. Yeah. Come on. You know about it too.
Yeah. And what about in 2016 then, when Colm was there and you won the county? You beat the Donoughmore Ashburn. They'd beaten you in the Fesh week few weeks before, wasn't it? So it was a bit of a...
Yeah, no, that was a great time. So we were 20 years, just over 20 years senior. We'd never won it. We're actually a young enough club, so we're just over 50 years, I'd say.
Yeah.
So it was brilliant though to do it. It was just fantastic. The sense of community and it brought everyone together. And we had a great team. We'd Nasher home, we Sean O'Rourke in the middle. They have two powerhouses in midfield, and your club level, if you're dominating midfield, it probably goes a long way. But everyone pulled their weight, and it was just fantastic. And then to go and do back to back was very sweet. Very, very. But you get your rub of the green as well. Like there's a couple of games where we played Dunboyne, and it was only kicking the ball in it. Do you know, if I had went Dunboyne's way, they might have got to 2 in a row, or could be on 3 in a row. Do you know, so a little bit of luck as well. But no, it was fantastic. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Best to be your best nights out in Ryan's, or what's your best night in Dargan's, Mickey, isn't it, in Longwood?
Yeah, well, yeah, or my own house. I have to give my own house a plug.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
But yeah, like it's wherever really. Like we always come back here after games. So the next day, if you're doing a bit of a skite, you go into the middle shop into Dargan's. So I know I had many's a good session in Ryan's as well now with the boys in Navan, I have to say.
I have to ask you, Sean, your Instagram retirement quote is probably my favourite one of all time. Do you remember your Aristotle in inverted commas quote that you had?
Oh yeah.
I came in with plenty of hair, no right foot. I have left with no hair and still not much of a right foot. Yeah,
it's probably true. Look, it was as you probably heard, a couple of people aren't fans of these retirement posts and stuff, and I can see where they're from, but it's not really. Not like, come look at me, I'm retiring from county football. Like I didn't do enough in the game to even, to warrant a big status or anything. But it's just that there's many people on social media and make you tell you, or that would write you through social media. They wouldn't have your number and they'd wish you the best of luck and genuinely follow you and have your best interests at heart. And it's more about saying thanks to them more than saying, look, I'm the big man retiring from county football. That was not the point. It was just genuinely just say thanks to everyone for their support. But no, look, I like having a bit of crack with it, and I always like having a bit of fun and a bit of banter. And sure, look, if you can't have a laugh, so what can you do?
Oh, exactly, yes. And a career with Simonstown, you keep going? Yeah,
well, look, luckily enough, Colm gave me the captaincy this year. Probably
pretty good.
The biggest honour, one of the biggest honours of my life, to be honest. To get it, and I was actually chatting to Mickey about it recently. It's one of those things when you come from the county, it could be easy. It's no disrespect to anyone, but standards are so high and you've done it for so long that it could be very easy to get a bit complacent. Not that you take the foot off the pedal, but would you be hitting the gym as much? Would you be doing the runs as much? But now the fact that I'm captain, I have to lead from example. You'd expect to lead from example anyway, but it just gives you that little bit of an edge that I have to be the one to do it, and even more so, even train even harder than I did with the club, and I suppose just. More actions and less talking. If the boys see you doing it, they'll follow you. So that's kind of definitely. No, look, really looking forward to this year with Simonstown, and hopefully I can make the captaincy count. Please God.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, Mickey, you yourself and Longwood stayed up after beating Ballinlough, I think it was. A lot, I suppose, down to the COVID as well. The way the season was wrecked. What's the future going forward for Longwood like?
The future's good. We were a very small parish, really, and we've always kind of punched above our weight. You've probably heard me saying that. If you drew a circle around from my house, which is the middle of the village here, around, we only have about 2.5, 3 mile pick. You've Nafina hits us. You have County Kildare that comes in and hits us. You've Clonard, Belive, Boards Mill, all these different clubs. So we have a very small pick, but we have a lot of dual players. About 13 of our players play both codes. And I'd be very, very hopeful that with our underage structure, we will be okay. Last year wasn't great, but that whole intermediate grade in Meath is very, very close. You can lose a game by a point, you can win a game by a point, and the results show that. We lost to Meath Hill by a point, I think. Bet Ballinlough by a couple of points, and Clonagale bet us by a point as well. So, if you obviously won those games by a point, you'd be in a quarter final or semi. So it's very, very small. And Tob said it earlier, you need a bit of luck And we had luck in 2018 when we won it. We got Everton, no injuries, brilliant season, goals going in at the right time, balls going wide for the opposition. You get those sometimes in different years. So hopefully we might get another one in the future. Who knows?
Yeah, it's just good. Yeah, and you're still running the mickeyburke.ie website as well.
Oh yeah, I have my own gear. I've started doing jumpers now and tracksuits and tracksuit bottoms and things like that. Only last week.
I won't be buying the one you're wearing. I'm sorry, I won't be buying that one you've on you.
Oh no, this is not my own one. I should have worn my own one. I was thinking about doing that. So look, I think that the way things are gone, you have to try do things outside the box and think differently and adapt. So doing gloves and socks and slitters and hurls and jumpers for clubs and hopefully when we get word when the season's going to start, more clubs will come in contact. But no, I posted out a good few now today, thank God.
Yeah, no, fair play to you. I do website design and stuff as well for the school I work in, and it's one of the more, I have to say, even though you're a Meath man, it's one of the more impressive websites that I've come across, which was great. Now, the only thing I have to criticise you on slightly is retro Meath jerseys at that price. Like Spar down the road here sells dishcloths if you want me to get you a few. Or
you're a real Westmeath man. I'll give you that. All right, I'll give you that.
I couldn't resist a little dig, especially when you come on wearing a Meath hoodie as well. I couldn't not say something. So
it's all right. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I know. In fairness, it's not. I know they call it a rivalry, Meath and Westmeath. To me, it's a rivalry in name more than nothing anything else. Because in fairness, the standard over the years for us hasn't been up maybe for a year or so.
No, I'll tell you, just on about that Westmeath game, actually, I don't know why, but for me personally, the two counties that dislike Meath the most, I'm just giving you my opinion out, rightly or wrongly. Yeah. Two teams are Loud and Westmeath. Right. Really, really, really dislike, and maybe it was because of the success that Meath had years ago, and there's probably Cavan as well, probably up that part of the world. Tobin's relation in Cavan, football mad county, but I would have felt over the years that Westmeath just, I don't know, like that win over. You could see the outpouring of emotion when you bet us in that first time winning the championship match. I couldn't come out of the house for 4 days, lad.
Oh, I ran around. So I was in the Hogan, like in the nice part, and my mate, who's from Batterstown, he was over the far side in one of the boxes with the boss that brought them, and I ran the whole way around the stadium just to get into that box, just to have a go with him. Literally, it might as well have been, for me, it was like 2004 all over again. Like that was how long though we'd waited, like for like any kind of half decent victory, like so.
That was your All Ireland bite.
That pretty much was, yeah. That was like, to me, that was as good as, like, I've been to plenty of All Ireland finals, but like I don't think I've ever enjoyed a game in Croke Park, since 2004. And as you said, you're well used to having plenty of success, over the years. For us, like, it was just such a rarity. But I think it was just the way that we did it, the way that it was over and done with, it was. And then when we were level, then I was just picturing Desi Dolan kicking a free wide from the 13 in my head, all over again. And when we eventually won it, then as you said, you couldn't come out the house for 4 days. Like, I don't think I maybe went home for 4 days, just going around, chatting to people and everything. And it was like, it was Disneyland for us. What went wrong for you?
I have nightmares over that game. Because the record, it was such a special record, like, and it was just, you could just say it to, the way Westmeath man would slag you or woman, you'd have the banter. I'm not talking about, but like you would, and I often heard Vinny had say to one of his mates, Dermot Cafferty, he'd just say, listen, you never bet us in the championship, and that'd be it. Yeah. So it was a bit like Ireland and the All Blacks, we could. I'm not saying we were the All Blacks, but we had that record for 110 years or whatever that Westmeath had never bet us in the championship. And that first half, honestly, was so easy. And I wouldn't say that as a county player. Like, the game was done. We were like, and then just this whirlwind of a second half. And I think Micko made too many changes and on the day, and made too many substitutions, and we just lost the run of ourselves. And Westmeath just kept hitting us on the counter, and it was mad. It was a mad game. But
I think only there was a second. I think there was a second game on after. There was something on after. I think I probably would have been gone at half time. Realistically, like not anything else other than been mortified that this was gone. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
Could have been. Yeah. Meath, we just got spooked that day completely.
Second half was just nuts, like, because it was so comfortable. Like, we were so comfortable.
And you even had, I think, Donegal was black-carded early on. Was he in that game as well? I think, yeah,
could have been.
Like, even with that, like, you were still, finding it all right. And then it just seemed to. I know Kieran Martin, in fairness, that was, his greatest game ever. Like, he actually decided to use the strength that he had and really put it to good use. But at the same time, it was unusual to see, for me anyway, it was unusual to see a Meath team kind of in some ways fall to bits. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, it hurt big time, and we did. And Westmeath just dropped everyone back and hit us on the counter with a running game, and we weren't solid defensively. And like I said, there was a lot of substitute made. I think with about 50 minutes, like, Mikko started making substitutions, and it was just too early. Like, it was just too early. And just a quick one, I remember. Yeah, I went for a few drinks in Killucan about 2 or 3 weeks after that game. I had the Meath hurling manager at the moment, Nick Weir. He's a personal friend of mine, good friend. He says, "Will you come out for a few pints?" And I says, "Right, I will." And it was a Sunday, so I went down, and obviously I wasn't thinking, like, it was Killucan and County Westmeath. And the minute I walked into the pub, it was packed with Westmeath. Like, it was jammers, and everyone just turned around and opened the door, and this big massive roar, "Way!" But it was grand. We had a good few pints, and that was it. It was done, but it was a good laugh.
No, it's good. It's good, I suppose, to be able to look back. And I'm sorry that it still gives you nightmares, though. That's I can't take any responsibility. So
nightmares is going a bit OTT, but
we had a chance to level it, didn't we? At the very end, that was the worst thing. We gave it away cheaply.
Yeah, we did.
Time.
I think that's when Heste went on the break, half the length of the pitch, because it was literally like there was no one between him and the goals, really. So it was a bit of a mad one. It's very rare in Croker Park to see something like that where there was still actually time left for someone to run half the length of the pitch.
I remember that.
One-on-one with the keeper. Yeah. So I suppose I'll give you a break from talking about that. What would your Sean, would your career highlight be? The Gerry Reilly Cup? Was it under 16?
Yeah, probably was. Yeah, that's fairness. That was touch of class there. But I actually, it's hard to look. I suppose up to Division 1 would be my career highlight. Unfortunately, we came through a time of transition with Meath football, and we're trying to catch up to the top teams. And that was that was it. Like, when I came on first, we were Division 3. Then we went up to Division 2, and it took us a long time to go up to Division 1. Then we eventually got to Division 1, and that was probably the highlight of my career, to be honest with you, was getting up in Division 1. It was a fantastic honour for myself and for the whole county. It was huge. It means we're making strides, Look, it was fantastic to get to the Leinster finals and to get runs in the championship. But look, it didn't pan out the way we all wanted, and that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, so Mickey, was your career highlight when Sean picked you on his best Meath 15 of all time a couple of years ago?
It was certainly up there, all right. It was certainly up there. I know Tobes is a legend. He knows that. He knows he's one of my best friends from all the years I played. So I'd be the same. Division 1. I wish the Leinster medal that I have, people kind of take the piss out of it a little bit, which bugs me a bit, but.
Jeez, I wouldn't anyway.
and just playing for me, the few games in the championship, like coming from Longwood, we were junior B, like people forget that, and there was no history of a lad from Longwood playing football for me. So starting off, that my aim was to play one game kind of thing, and but those things that Tobe said, getting to Division 1 was massive for the county, and winning the Leinster at the same time was brilliant as well. That was a great campaign. Probably barring the ending of the final.
Even saying, I think a lot of people we all put massive emphasis on winning titles and what you done and the championships you won and absolute the utmost respect for the footballers that are doing that. But at the end of the day, it was a fantastic highlight. Not to sound a bit too cringy, and a great highlight to put on to be able to play for me. Like we grew wanting to play for Meath all our lives. And I played underage to 16. Mickey played the whole way up as well. And like, to just put on the jersey itself, I suppose, is not to sound too cringy or anything like that. But it is I think that's kind of lost sometimes, people keep searching for titles. But look, it didn't happen for us. We would have loved the Leinster final. We trained as hard as anyone else, and unfortunately it just didn't happen. But the Division 1 was great, and just playing for Meath and getting the support from everyone around the county and being a role model to young lads, that's the greatest thing ever. That's just fantastic. There's nothing like that. A young lad looking up to you and in his life, that's the real GAA community, in my opinion. That's probably coming from a fella who never had a title, so I can say that. But no, it is. It's important. It's very, very important.
I do even see he's posted about like maybe it's club people or relatives or whatever winning like the under-13 championships, and you big celebrations with like they're the kind of things that as you say, you are the role model for them as well.
Exactly, yeah, and that's it. And there are some fantastic days in the Meath career, getting to know lads for life, like Mickey, and so many boys I'll be friends with for the rest of my life. And there's obviously some great, unbelievable highlights of the club, like we lived in the Keegan and all that wasn't the highlights of my career and all that stuff. But the highlights of Meath, there's nothing like playing for Meath, and Mickey will tell you that. It's tough, but there's nothing like it. It's the greatest thing ever. We'd always die for the cause, and I guarantee if we were asked back in tomorrow, we'd be the first men back in, But and that's just the way it is,
Yeah.
But
you hear a lot of people like talking about the jersey and the All Blacks and stuff like that, and Tobin hit the nail on the head. Like, it's just there's a lure to it. Like you think of the team of the 80s, the 90s, Trevor Giles, Graham Garrett, all these Mick Lyons, all these boys just flash through your head and ingrained in you, like, people talking about it, and it's religion in the county. And that's what I was trying to say, like, just putting on the jersey, playing championship football, not everyone gets to do that, and it's only probably maybe in not even now, but 10-15 years time when we're sitting down having a pint in the bar or having a bit of grub together, we'll say, geez, like we didn't win, right? We would love to have an arse full of All Irelands, but we didn't win, but we played, like, we did it, like, and we trained hard, we did our best, like.
Yeah, no, because I my secondary school I went to here, St. Finian's in Mullingar, of course, is littered with Meath men. So many of them who were great footballers in the school as well and won plenty for the school. But, a lot of them had aspirations to play for Meath. And from what I can remember, there's none of them from my year anyway that have made it onto the senior team. So as you said, it's the pride of getting the jersey, which a lot of people don't get the opportunity to get.
Yeah, well, I was a late bloomer myself, like, and people kind of look at you now and go, Jesus, right, he played a long time. But, like, Tobin will tell you have to scrap for that, and you have to fight for that, and you have to, like, we're junior B, like, think about that. Like, that's, Tobin's is, let's say, senior now, right? That intermediate, junior A, junior B, 3 grades before that, and Seán took a chance. Looking down the grades as he did with others, like PJ Gillick was with Karen Ross, I think they were only junior in the 80s, like Liam Harron, I think, was only junior A when he started off as well. Like, so I got a bit of luck. Seán took a chance, kind of kicked off from there, but I was a late bloomer. I wasn't, like, it was only kind of in around minor when I started kind of maybe getting a bit of a growth spurt and a bit of a hair underneath my arms, like, you know what I mean? There was other boys with beards when they were 14 and 15 and they were the best footballers in Meath, like, and then they kind of fall by the wayside, but you catch up with them eventually. And if there's any kids listening, just keep practicing and keep positive and just, if you're not the best footballer at 12, 13, 14, 15, it's not the be all and end all. Just keep trying and, you follow your dream.
Yeah. And what was it like for either of you, watching that Meath team of the 90s under Seán? Like, it must have been unbelievable to be able to go watch games like that. Yeah,
it was unbelievable. Like, you never expected to lose. You go to every game, and I remember bawling, crying, like, if we lost the game. And, like, from 96 to 02 or 03, like, you just didn't lose. Like, you're expecting to win the All Ireland. It was unbelievable, and probably I was too young for the team of the 80s and the early 90s. But, like, them footballers were just, like, it was like that team was Ollie Murphy, Darren Fay, Mark Trevor Giles, like, class team, and such a privilege to watch them and then play with a few of them in the heat of the real, like.
What was who would you say in '96 then, if to put it to you, who was it Anthony Finnerty or Colm Coyle who was at fault for the brawl in '96?
Well, they might have started it, but we finished it.
I'll take that. Yeah, no. Colm Coyle's Colm's nephew is a good mate of mine, and we do always give him abuse about that. So it's just it's good to get your take on it. I haven't met a Meath person yet who was denied Colm Coyle's involvement in it. So that's a fair one, I suppose.
Kyler's a rough diamond.
So I believe. Yeah, I haven't had the privilege of meeting him ever, but yeah, so I believe. The last question I ask you before, there's a quick fire round if you're happy to do it after. But the last question I ask you, which is the vital one, as two clubmen, have you ever won anything in your club lotto?
No.
Short answer from both of you. Fair enough. Either you sell the tickets, either. No, do you sell them at all, or?
I think get it going on our club app. We're trying to get it up on the app that people do it every week, but it's not uploaded yet.
Yeah, that's all right.
We were the first club in Ireland to do the club lotto.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yep,
brilliant.
There you go, Longwood, little Longwood.
Brilliant.
Started in the late early 90s. Yeah, innovative club.
Yes, I didn't know that. God, innovation of the highest there from Longwood. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. We're no jaws out here, as my father said.
That's brilliant. Yeah. Are the two of you happy enough to have a go at the quick fire round? It's just a few GA questions for each of you. So.
The same. Mickey's favourite here now.
It's because the pod is called. Yeah, go on. Yeah,
I'll let you answer first, Tobs.
Right. So,
no, go on.
Sean, I'm starting with you first by the sounds of it. So, what's your favourite ground you've ever played on?
Favourite ground has to be Croker Park.
Croker,
all your life, all you want to do is play in Croker Park, and the fact that I've done that is just immaculate place. It's just fantastic. It is even just the buzz going in there.
Yeah.
It's just different everywhere else. Just different.
Class, yep. What's the worst ground you've ever played on?
I used to hate travelling to Ockram in Wicklow.
All right. That's good. I had Davy Burke on the other night, the Wicklow manager, chatting. He didn't pick Ockram as his least favourite ground anyway. So are you a short kick out or a long kick out man?
I'd be a long kick out man if you have the men to catch it in the middle. Other than that, you go short.
Fair enough. As a supporter, would you be the tea and ham sandwiches from the boot or the pre-match pub?
I'd say a pre-match pub for the crack. Just for the crack.
Yeah, you can pick one of these: the famous hats, flags, scarves, or headbands.
Headbands.
Marty or Des?
Oh, Marty.
Who's your favourite pundit on the telly in any sport, male or female?
Oh, I'll give it to our manager. Sure, he'd probably kill me if I don't. Colm O'Rourke.
Okay, good stuff. You probably want to answer neither of these, but if you take one onto the team, Diarmuid Connolly at his best or David Clifford at his best?
I'd probably take Diarmuid Connolly just because he has all the titles at the moment. Clifford will probably get there. But he's a proven man. I'd pick him. Good
stuff. What's the funniest or strangest thing that's ever been shouted at you from the sideline by a manager or a supporter?
I don't actually know. There's been plenty of them, but I've heard the thing I've ever heard was at a Cavan game was take off that fella and bring on nobody. Swear to God.
Love that one. Yeah. That's up there. That's up there with my favourites. Yeah, Eddie O'Sullivan from Uachtarard, the fullback, I think is still up there with my favourites. Well, he said he came out a night out. He was out till 7 a.m. He had a game at 11, a challenge game. And midway through the game, the manager just shouted at him, Eddie, it's time to come off. There was no sub or anything. Just told him just to walk off and just go home. So yeah, I think that's up there with my favourite now, definitely. If there was a GAA transfer market in the morning, who would you bring in for the county?
Jeez, man, sorry, I'm caught on the hop.
You can come back to it if you want to.
Yeah, no, we'll come back.
Your favourite boots?
Adidas. I've never changed from the Adidas since I was about 12.
Deadly. Studs or moles?
I go studs.
Studs. Sweeper, no sweeper?
I have. Look, as I say, if your backs are good enough, no sweeper, but if they're not, play the sweep.
Good stuff. Your favourite sport outside of the GAA? Golf, deadly. The best holiday you've ever been on? You've plenty of choices by the sounds of
it. Best holiday I was ever at was probably Thailand, I'd say.
Yeah, deadly, yeah. And the last one then, in your lifetime, who has been the best GAA player?
In my lifetime that I have seen, I used to love, I'll just, outside of Meath say, I just used to love and go watching Peter Canavan.
Brilliant.
Incredible. Incredible. So skillful and not the strongest man in the world, but he was just fantastic footballer, all skill.
Yeah, brilliant. And then, if there was a transfer market, who would you bring in? Have you thought about it, or will it come back to you after Mickey?
I hope my questions are the same.
They are, yeah.
Well, that's grand. It's giving me a chance to think.
I could see you thinking down there, yeah.
I'd probably say Fenton, because just what he's doing in the game is just incredible.
Okay, brilliant, good man. Mickey, your favourite ground?
Yeah, same as Tobes, Croker.
Yeah.
Definitely the most special, best atmosphere. Yeah, unbelievable.
Brilliant. Yeah. Worst ground?
Playing National League in Drogheda is in the winter so bad in Drogheda, but I had to think about that. Yeah, I think in Intercounty it's up there with one of the worst. It's just really, really bad. I think they're getting a new stadium shortly, so I don't mean that as a dig. The surface is terrible. Sometimes you play in bad stadiums and the pitch is good, but no, it's a bog up there.
Yeah, fair enough. Short kick out or long kick out?
Keep the ball. I'll go short.
Short, okay. As supporter, the tea and ham sandwiches or the pre-match pub?
Oh, sure, look, when I get a bit older, we'll go for the pub as well, have a few jars and have the crack.
Good stuff. Hats, flags, scarves or headbands?
I'll go with the old hat.
You couldn't be covering up the hair, could you?
Oh, no, cheers. No, I'd be happy enough. Go old school with it.
Marty or Des?
Oh, Marty.
Marty. Your favourite pundit, any sport, male or female?
Just off the top of my head now, and someone will probably come to me again, I'll go with Gary Neville.
Good stuff, United man.
I think he's very, very smart, very innovative, great thinker in the game. I like listening to him. Yeah, I think he's cool.
Good stuff.
I didn't know that was any sport. Sorry, Jason. If I
you're all right.
Yeah, Johnny Martin. Sorry.
Good stuff. Yeah, I'll take that as well. Yeah, love it. Would you take Connolly or Clifford?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and it's tough, but I am going to go with Tobes on that as well. Left foot, right foot, can kick 45s. Clifford probably is the man and will be the man and will win the games, but and Diarmuid can hurl as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the funniest thing ever shouted at you from the sideline.
Oh, jeez, probably so much, but I would have had to skip that only for Tobes' answer, and I got it a while. But a good few times when I played in Croker against Dublin, I got booked for punching Kieran Kilkenny in one of the games, and the whole anytime I got the ball, the whole hill just booed for a couple of games. It was just a boo. Anytime I got the ball or handled the ball, so that was
brilliant. I'll have to pass that on to Kieran. He teaches in the school up the road from mine with one of my best mates, so I'll have to pass that on to him. So if there was,
I think it was him. I gave it was a bit of a snaky clothesline. I knew what I was at, and I think it was Kieran Kilkenny anyway. But I got booed a good few times. Dublin, they just booed anytime I got the ball. I just hand passed it away, so it was great. I was like boo, and then it'd be gone. So anyway. Yeah.
That's brilliant. I love that one. If there was a GAA transfer market in the morning, who would you bring in for Meath?
Yeah, again, it gave me a chance to think about that. I'd go with James McCarthy from Dublin.
Stuff, yeah, from good stock as well. Father, of course, All-Ireland winner too. Your favourite boots?
I've had every boot under the sun, I think. But Adidas are my favourite, yeah.
Good stuff. Studs or moles?
Bob O'Malley, studs. All day. I wear summer or winter.
Brilliant. Sweeper or no sweeper?
Oh, sweeper. Sweeper, yeah.
Park the bus. Park the bus.
Tobes knew I was going to go with the sweeper anyway, no
doubt. Your favourite sport outside the GAA?
Rugby league. League. I'm a huge rugby league fan. I look at it, read up on it every day, and I follow a lot of the boys on Instagram, and I love Super League and NRL, but I like boxing as well. But rugby league.
Good stuff. Who's your team in the Super League in England?
The Rhinos, Leeds Rhinos.
Very good, yeah. No, I was my uncle used to live in Stockport. I was sort of brought up a little bit on St Helens, funnily enough, where team I was brought up on, yeah. So that's a good one.
They're going for 3 in a row now.
Yeah, I haven't met anyone who said rugby league as their other sport. That's a good one to know. And then
I love it.
Yeah, it's a brilliant sport as well. Your best holiday, favourite holiday? Apart from Killucan, obviously. So
I've only been on one lads' holiday with Vinnie Byrne and the boys. We went to Tenerife and it was mental. we were about 20 or 21, so a long time ago. But I had a lovely time at Jamie Queenie's wedding actually last year in Sorrento in Italy. I'm a big fan of Italy, and I went with the missus. He got married over there, and it was just the Amalfi Coast and drinking coffee, and it was just cool. It was really cool. So yeah, Sorrento in last year with my girlfriend.
Brilliant, yeah. Jamie Queenie, he's an Enfield man, is he?
He is. He's down the road from me here. Yeah, Jamie, like Tobes, he'd be one of my closest mates from years with Meath football, and he got married there. It's actually 2019, the end of 2019. So he's a top man.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure my godmother's in Enfield as well, and I'm pretty sure she mentioned his name a few times. So yeah, that's a good one. And the last question then, best GAA player in your opinion? You're only 21 plus tax, so you haven't that many years to pick from.
Best GAA player I've seen is it's hard to know. Fucking hell, top of my head.
You can say Sean Tobin now as well if you want to.
Trevor Giles, maybe.
Trevor Giles, okay.
2 players of the year, it doesn't lie, like one of the best players, the only man with 2 players of the year, could play wing back, could play centre forward, could play centre back. Class.
Poor Vinny Byrne will be devastated you didn't pick him.
Vinny's kind of related to Trevor anyway, so they're far out of relations.
All right.
But Trevor Giles is grandfather's a Longwood man. Giles is a really old name from Longwood.
Right, yeah. There's plenty of Giles in Kinnegad here out the road. Yeah, it's a big name here. So, yeah.
Larry used to manage Longwood.
All right, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'm giving you loads of info here, boy.
Telling you, I'm going to get you as the researcher for the podcast, I think, from now on. So, that's brilliant. Lads, look, I have to say, unbelievable thanks to two of you for giving up your evening as well to come on. I really appreciate it. I wasn't sure how Westmeath man and two Meath men would go, but it's been one of my favourite chats. You're both stars, the two of you, and look, I can always say the best of luck going forward with the club, Sean, and Mickey with the club, and maybe the county. You never know when it gets back up and running.
Yeah,
never know. I'll be in puck and ball with the boys anyway. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Thanks for having us on, Jason.
No, I really appreciate
Jason.
it. Yeah.
Sure, if you need anything in the future, Anthony, sure, don't be afraid to give us a shout. Absolutely no matter.
Brilliant, yeah, and hopefully we'll see something back in a football pitch or hurling pitch soon that we can go to something. So you know yourselves.
Yeah. 100%.
Sound as a pound, lad.
Yeah, and I'll leave you at. Thanks a million, lads. Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks, lad.
Take it easy. Good luck.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Coming up next week on the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast, we cut into our next slice.
Obviously, we were unfortunate not to win that game. I think we couldn't kick straight today, but just to be a part of it was absolutely, it was crazy. It was such a special moment, and it's one that I'll definitely cherish for the rest of my life. Even though we obviously had bigger days that led after that, but that first day, running out into the Oval was pretty special.
On Slice 8 next Thursday morning, I have the chats with Adelaide Crows AFLW and former Kilmahill and Clare GAA star Ailish Considine. We chat all things Clare, winning the European Champions League, kicking goals in the AFLW Grand Final, smashed avocado in Adelaide with Mariana Rancic, curry chips in Friar Tucks in Kilmahill, her sister Emer and the Irish rugby team of the decade, and the club rivalry in the Banner County. She is a legend in every way. Don't miss it. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast, slicing into the GAA. Find us on Spotify, iTunes, Anchor and Pocket Casts, on Instagram at Loaf of Bread GAA Pod, on Twitter at LoafPod, and on email loafofbreadpod@gmail.com. For any questions, queries, comments, feedback, or if you're interested in coming on yourself. Slán again.